Hello boys and girls, welcome to the Math Club. In this video we're going to talk about indices. Question 5. Write each number as a fraction raised to a power. It means we have fractions, we're going to turn them back into fractions raised with a power. It means this one, turn it into something like this. Now let's take a look at the first one. We have 25 over 49. Let me show you the steps of finding what's the number raised to a power. Basically, we're going to use the square root and the cube root. So the square root and the cube root idea is like this. First, we put the number under the square root. If it gives me a decimal number, it means I can't use it. But if it gives me a whole number, I can use it. Now, if the square root doesn't work, I'm going to try the cube root. If the cube root gives me a whole number, it means I can use it. Same idea with the square root. Now, I'm going to take the number, or the whole number, and the power that I'm going to use is the one with the root that I used. Let's take an example and understand the idea. Here we have 25 over 49. 25 over 49. First thing we do, we take the 25 and we square root it. So, 25, square root of 25, it's going to be 5. 25 square root is going to be 5. But if I want the cube root, for example, cube root of 25, it will give me a decimal number. It means I can't use the cube root. I need to use the square root. So here, I use the square root. Here, I got what? I got 5. So square root of 25 is going to be 5. Because I use the square root here, I have to use the square root with the 49, same idea. So square root of 49, it's going to be 7. So they're going to be 5 and 7. And how do I know the power that I'm going to use? Very good, because I used square root, it means the power is 2. So this one's going to be 5 power of 2 over 7 power of 2, like this. And then we're going to take the power outside of a bracket. So basically it's going to be 5 over 7 with brackets like this, and the power will be 2, like this. And this is the final fraction raised to a power. Same idea with all of these. Let's continue. Here we have 64 and 144. We're going to check which one we're going to use. Is it the square root or the cube root? Same idea. So we're going to take 64. So square root of 64 is going to be 8. Now, square root of 64 is 8. So I can't use the cube root. Let's check. So cube root of 64, it's going to be 4. So here, in this situation, I can use both square root and cube root. If I have a number that can use both of them, it means I have to check the denominator. Because I'm okay with using both of them in the numerator, I have to check the denominator now. So it's 144. I'm going to check. Square root of 144 is 12. So 144 has no problems with square roots. Now I'm going to check the cube root. So the cube root of 144 is a decimal number. It means if I can't use the cube root with the denominator, same idea with the numerator. I don't use the cube root. It means I'm using the square root. So the square root of 64 is going to be 8. So this one is going to be 8. I don't have to write this step, but if you want to write it to make sure that you know the power that you're using. Now I used square root. It means the power will be, very good, 2. Same idea here, 144. So square root of 144 is going to be 12. Same idea, 12, and the power is 2. And I make it as a fraction. Now I'm going to take this power outside of the fraction. So it's going to be, very good, 8 over 12. And the power is, good job, 2, like this. And that's the idea of the question. So I'm going to say, I can make it like this. 8 over 12 and power of 2. Sorry. It will give me a fraction, which is 4 over 9. Yes, 4. I don't need to use this. Now, as we said, this one is 8 power of 2 to give me 64, and this one is 12 power of 2 to give me 144. 4. But when you simplify them, which is 64 over 144 is going to be, yes, 4 over 9. But here, the simplifying part, you don't need it. You just have to make it over as a fraction with a raised power, okay? Now, let's check this. Same idea. I'm going to take the 81 and square root it. So 81, or square root of 81, is 9. Now, let's check the cube root. Cube root of 81. With 81, I can't use the cube root, so I have to use the square root. Same idea, because I used the square root with 81, and I got 9. Square root of 81 is 9. So it's going to be 9 squared, like this, over. And 100, same idea, I'm going to use the square root. So square root of 100 is 10, and the answer will be 10 squared. Same idea, I'm going to take the power outside, and I'm going to write 9 over 10 with brackets, and the power outside, like this. The power here, I only take one of them, because it's the opposite of question 4, in which we distribute them on the numerator and the denominator. Now, let's go ahead and do question D. Here, in question D, we have 9 over 121. Same idea, I'm going to square root 9, and it gave me 3. But if I use the cube root on 9, it will give me a decimal number. So I have to use the square root. So the square root of 9 is 3, so it's going to be 3, and because I use square root, it means the power is 2. So 3 power of 2. And then square root of 121, so square root of 121 is going to be 100. So same idea, 11 with a power of 2. Same idea, I'm going to put the fraction, and I'm going to take outside the power of 2, like this. E, 8 over 27, same steps, use the square root and then use the cube root, and check which one works. So square root of 8 is a decimal number. It means I'm going to use the cube root of 8. And the cube root of 8 is 2, so the power is 3 because I used the cube root, okay? So it's going to be 2 power of 3 over. And because I used the cube root with 8, I have to use it with 27. So I'm going to say cube root of 27 equals 3. So cube root of 27 is going to be 3. And then 3 with a power of 3. Same idea, I'm going to put the fraction and then brackets and the power outside, like this. Okay. Now, the last one, F, we have 1 over 125. Now, if you have 1, you have to know that 1 works with square roots and cube roots. So how do you decide which one to use? You have to check the denominator first. So I'm going to check 125. So square root of 125 is a decimal number. It means I'm going to use the cube root. So cube root of 125 is going to be 5. And because I use the cube root, it means the power is 3. So it means I'm going to put 5 with a power of 3 here. And in the numerator, it's going to be 1, very good, with a power of 3. And in the fraction, it's going to be 1 over 5. And I'll take the power outside. And this is how you answer a question like this. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.